In this video, we are going to tell you about the steam engine, specifically answering these 4 questions. How it works and how it progressed through time, what the use of it was, what caused the invention of the steam engine, and what the social effects of the steam engine were. In general, the steam engine works by heating water and creating steam. The first steam engines used the steam to push a piston and create mechanical energy. Today, the steam is used to drive a turbine and create electricity. Savery's steam engine was the first of its kind. Thomas Savery patented it in 1698. It was to be used to raise water from mines. To do this, it raised steam in a boiler and then moved it into the vessel, a closed container designed to hold gases at a high pressure. It then blew the steam out by a downpipe into the water. The Newcomen steam engine, built in 1712, was the first steam engine to work under atmospheric pressure due to the placement of the boiler. It was placed directly below a cylinder that pushed a piston. This meant that pressure was very low, no more than 1 to 2 psi, and it wasn't as dangerous as Savery's. If we look at this animation, we can see that the boiler boils water and the steam fills the cylinder and pushes the piston upwards. When the piston is at the top, the cylinder is cooled down with water to condense the steam and retract the piston before the cycle starts over. James Watt improved the steam engine in 1775. When repairing one of Newcomen's steam engines, he noticed how inefficient it was. The problem with the design is that the cylinder is heated and cooled for every cycle. James Watt's design introduced a separate condenser to which the steam was led after the piston was pushed up. By cooling it down and condensing it in the separate container, the temperature in the cylinder remained almost constant and energy wasn't wasted on reheating it, resulting in a more efficient steam engine. If we take a look at this picture, we can see the separate condenser where the steam is led to be cooled down and recycled as water. These 3 steam engines are based on the principle of the Rankine cycle. The Rankine cycle generates about 90% of all electrical power used throughout the world, including virtually all solar, thermal, biomass, coal and nuclear power plants. Heat enters the cycle and heats up water to create steam. The steam is then used to drive a turbine, a motor run in reverse that creates electricity. After going through the turbine, the steam is cooled down and condensed back into water before being pumped back to the heat source and the cycle continues. The heat can come from nuclear fusion or the sun. The cycle remains the same. The basic principle behind the steam engine has continually been refined and is today used to produce 90% of the world's energy. The groundwork laid by Thomas Savery and improved by Newcomen and Watt more than 300 years ago continues to benefit modern society.
Now we're going to take a look on the use of the steam engine. As mentioned, the first use of the steam engine was Savery's steam engine. What we see here is a water pump. This is a manual one, but genuinely this is showing the point. We have a large pipe of some kind, and the water is going out of here. And this, what do we call it? The stick is supposed to be driven by the steam engine, so it's making it automatized, sort of. Except from the water pumps, it was used in the factories, driving these spinning mules, which was spinning cotton on larger scales. This was when the Newcomen steam engine was developed, and which made a huge effect because this spinning mule was supposed to be operated by 3 people per spinning mule, of course, and the steam engine took care of that and required no operators at all. In the agricultural sector, we had steam tractors. This was, of course, in the late part of the steam engines, but they totally replaced the use of horses and animal power for like harvesting and mowing the lawns and such. In the construction business, we suddenly had steam shovels, which could dig up a big hole in a very short time compared to manually digging. This really streamlined building foundations and larger buildings. And for transportation, we had the steamboat. This could travel quite a bunch of people across water, and it replaced the regular ships with sails and such. Here we have a steam bus, and a one, of course. This was used to drive passengers around. This replaced horses and wagons using horses too. This is a steam locomotive. This used the steam for powering like the motors. This was used in a quite huge scale on the land. And for warfare, we suddenly had steam tanks. This was quite a large difference from just a few years ago, before the steam tanks were developed.
The steam engine played a big role and was a part of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was a period of time where a lot of societal changes occurred, mainly the technological aspects of society. Many historians have an active interest in the question of why this Industrial Revolution along with the steam engine was present. A lot of factors have been suggested, including education, technological changes, ecology and culture. But many historians have agreed that a mix of culture and religion was responsible for the emergence of the steam engine. There were different views and values Europe and Asia between, and it was Europe's values and spirit which sparked the growth of the Industrial Revolution, and therefore also the steam engine. The reason why there was no Industrial Revolution in the East lies in their religion. They believed the universe was in constant flux, a continuously changing world, and was not capable of being rationally understood. On the other hand, Europeans believed that the universe was governed by rational internal laws. They could see the rational advantages in the steam engine along with the Industrial Revolution. In Britain, self-interest and entrepreneurial spirit led the science to invent this engine, which is also called the science push. In other parts of Europe, they saw the benefits of this new machine and demanded this engine. Here we see the term market pull. The steam engine had a great effect on society. It was a part of the Industrial Revolution which started in Great Britain. The Industrial Revolution was a period of time of 100 years spanning the 1750s and 1850s. Although it started in Great Britain, it rapidly spread throughout the world, making an enormous impact on the society. The reason why the steam engine, along with the Industrial Revolution, had such a great impact on society lies in the incredibly large number of places where it was usable. Effects could be seen in everything from agricultural machinery to the application of societal economic ideologies, which we'll talk about later on. First of all, some of the proactive effects of this invention were better transportation and easier trade. Proactive means that the effects could be foreseen. Reactive means that the effects were not foreseen. Transporting materials around the country sparked a period of rapid industrial growth, and the industrialization had begun. However, it was not all the effects which were positive and healthy both for society and people. No negative effects were foreseen, and that is where the reactive effects appear. No one had expected such an immense globalization as we face today. Neither was the urbanization and pollution expected. Some of the positive, proactive was, as mentioned, that the steam engine sparked growth in trade with other countries. It did so because the steam engine was incorporated in ships. Now ships could travel a lot faster and therefore the oceans were easier to travel. The steam engine allowed factories to build near natural resources and near the actual workforce. Cities became more populated and urbanization took place because the factories offered lots of jobs. Work in the factory was more reliable than work in the fields due to the fact that farming was dependent on the weather and crops often failed. The steam engine could now make machines in the factories produce materials much faster. By the early 1800s, there were hundreds of steam-powered machines in the factories. Steam ran the machines in textile mills and other types of factories. The steam engine was, as mentioned, invented in England, and therefore factories started to grow all over England, but it quickly spread to the rest of the world due to its possibilities. In terms of social structure, the steam engine created the triumph of the middle class of the industrialists and businessmen. In addition, ordinary working people found increased opportunities for employment in the new steam-powered mills and factories. Social boundaries were loosened as the steam engine-powered locomotive allowed people to travel very far from their homes, meeting and sharing values and traditions with other communities. The steam engine brought the economy based on laissez-faire, along with the Industrial Revolution. The laissez-faire economy means that the government has very little involvement in the operation of a country's economy. Some people would argue that this economic belief could be seen as a negative impact, but rather quickly after its entry social reforms were implemented because of very poor working conditions, which lead us to some of the negative impacts. Although it all seems like joy and pleasure, numerous issues were connected with the invention of the steam engine during the industrialization. A big debate about child labor developed as the steam engine gained a foothold. Some argued that children worked under deplorable conditions and were being exploited by the industrialists. Others argued that these conditions slowly would adapt to the successful and wealthy society. The social reform, which was implemented in 1833, was called the Factory Acts, and it should bring better working conditions to the workers. Another issue was the air pollution that all of these new factories produced. This air pollution is due to the transformation of the fuel such as coal into mechanical work, as we know from physics. Now a lot of people amongst the low poverty areas got respiratory illnesses, which, like the Factory Acts, brought a new reform, the Clean Air Act, which would ensure a cleaner air. Last but not least, the housing had problems due to the steam engine. As the steam engine and the middle class of the society evolved, the inequality evolved with the same pace. The middle class became richer, while the poor people became poorer. The poor families now began to share toilets, and cleanliness was put to the test. Contaminated water supplies spread disease, and the cholera epidemic had no impediments and spread throughout the country. It was not only during the Industrial Revolution that the steam engine had a great impact on society. We also find numerous areas of today's society affected by this invention. It helped our society reach a level which never had been seen before. Societal growth was initiated by the improvement of already known technologies, such as mining, shipping, and spinning mills. Today's ease of transportation, rapid manufacturing and delivering of products, the abundance of food and a lot of other factors we find natural today, we can credit the steam engine. Without the invention of the steam engine, we would probably not have had such an immense globalization and urbanization as some of us tend to take for granted today.